All right, if it's Friday, it must be Smerconish, here to discuss all things Trump and maybe a few other topics. Michael Smerconish, host of CNN's Smerconish. Michael, good morning. Your reaction to what the governor had to say there, particularly, I mean, he's kind of saying, well, he doesn't think Americans are going to care. What do you think?
I think that was a preview of coming attractions offered in a very, calm and level-headed manner. What you heard from Doug Burgum, I think, is what you're about to hear from the Trump campaign writ large, although probably with more emotion. And the primary point that they're going to make is that none of this salves what ails Biden, namely acuity issues, the border, and as he stated, inflation. Nobody knows the impact of this yet. And I've studied all the polling data that preceded the verdict and those individuals who said, well, I might have pause, I might reconsider. I just think the dust needs to settle. But I would be shocked if the bottom were to fall out of the Trump campaign, because nothing has caused that. I go back to the Access Hollywood tape. That was the moment that I really thought he was done, and I was wrong. So I'm the last one who's going to say this is going to have a significant impact. I don't think that it will.
I mean, as someone who covered every twist and turn of both that campaign and the subsequent Trump administration, I think there were a lot of people who thought not just the Access Hollywood tape. I mean, you can go back to him criticizing John McCain as a POW, as a thing that a lot of people thought, I think, was going to end the campaign at the time, and never did. Michael, let me show you what Marco Rubio had to say about this. It was raised earlier on in the program because the way that he put this is very, very stark, especially considering Rubio's heritage here. Let's watch.
This is what you see in communist countries. This is what I grew up having people in this community tell me about. It happened in the days after the Castro Revolution. Obviously, those led to executions. This, on the other hand, is an effort to interfere in an election.
What's the impact of saying something like that?
It's going to resonate with the base. I have to say, Kasie, my own view is that he slept with her, he paid her, and he did it with an eye toward the election. Having said that, it gives me pause the way in which the misdemeanors were elevated to felony status in this particular case. That doesn't mean I'm carrying water for Donald Trump, but as a lawyer, I feel the same way that I felt, this is going to sound odd, about OJ. I think he killed Nicole Brown Simpson. I think he killed Ron Goldman. But when they sent him away in Las Vegas for stealing his stuff for 7 or 8 years, as an attorney, I thought, that doesn't sound right to me.
Do you think that's ultimately going to mean that swing voters discount this?
That's I mean, you and I conversant in the Philly burbs. If we could go out and knock on neighbors' doors today and find out what they think, I think that would be critical. The base isn't going to move, but what do those swing voters say? That's really the critical question. I have to say something else about the polling data that I've been studying. What I notice is that when individuals have said it might give me pause to vote for Donald Trump, it hasn't necessarily been to President Biden's benefit. They go into this amorphous category of, well, maybe I'll vote for somebody else, or I'm not sure. So it seems like both of their numbers are really baked in. It's a game of inches. So if this were to impact even a handful of people in those 6 battleground states, it could be outcome determinative.
All right, Michael Smerconish, always grateful to have you on the program.
Thank you,
and I agree
Kasie.
with you. Those Philly burbs are going to be the absolute center of the next 5 months. Watch Smerconish tomorrow morning, everybody. Don't miss it, 9 a.m. ET.